The opening scene is a high school graduation class of 2014. Jade Butterfield, a shy but beautiful young woman, is graduating. She is going to be attending Brown University in the fall. She stands alone after the ceremony while everyone laughs with friends and takes pictures together. Jade quietly rejoins her parents while reminiscing about her older brother Chris, who died from cancer. David, another student graduating, observes her from a distance and notices how lonely she seems. He is intrigued by her but doesn't speak to her. His best friend Mace teases him about crushing on her for 4 years but never speaking to her, and he brings up David's ex-girlfriend Jenny. Jade, her parents Hugh and Anne, and her older brother Keith stop at an upscale restaurant to eat lunch after graduation. Her father pulls the car up for valet service. While exiting the car, Jade bumps into David and Mace, who work as the valets at the restaurant. She shyly says hello and walks inside behind her parents, but comes outside again to ask David to sign her yearbook. Jade's father asks her what she would like as a graduation present inside the restaurant. Jade asks for a party. She's never had the chance to socialize with her peers before. Although her mother thinks it's a wonderful idea, her father thinks it's odd but agrees. Jade goes out to invite David to her party. A snobby client drives up in his fancy car and treats David and Mace rudely, so they grab Jade and go joyriding in his car. As Jade's family leaves the restaurant, they observe David getting into a physical altercation with the snobby client who insulted Jade. After punching the client, David gets fired on the spot. Jade wears a beautiful red dress for her graduation party. Her home is full of her father Hugh's wealthy middle-aged friends. All of her classmates have yet to show up. David arrives. Jade is happy to see him but feels bad that none of her classmates have come. David explains that another graduation party is taking place the same evening and that everyone is probably there. He takes out his phone, calls the police, and makes a fake noise complaint about the other party, effectively shutting it down. Soon, lots of classmates begin to arrive at Jade's house. Everyone drinks, dances, and has fun. Jade and David sneak into a closet to kiss, just as Jade's father gathers everyone to make a speech. He talks about his pride in Jade and attempts to make a toast. However, Jade is nowhere to be found. She sheepishly comes out of the closet, closely followed by David. Her father is annoyed but continues with the toast. He thanks everyone for coming and ends his speech by asking them to leave. David leaves after apologizing to Jade's father. He knows he's made a wrong first impression but makes it clear that he cares for Jade very much. Jade races to her balcony and throws a paper plane down to David. It says waits until all the lights are off. David waits in the pouring rain until the lights are off. He sneaks back into the house and enters a room where Jade waits for him. A sizable cozy fire is in the fireplace, and she's wearing a beautiful white nightgown. They begin to kiss passionately, undress, and spend the night together. Jade and David are completely smitten with each other. The next day, Jade spends time with her father at the hospital. He is a doctor and is grooming her to go to medical school. He asks her to stay and observe a surgery, but she tells him she can't. He is disappointed and taken aback by her not following his wishes since she usually does. She meets David near a lake and kisses him intensely. They discuss a summer medical internship she has, which means they only have about 10 days left to spend together. David tells her he doesn't care how much time they have. He wants to enjoy it to the fullest. A lovely montage shows them riding bicycles, running through fields, and recklessly enjoying each other's company. David drops Jade home after their last evening together. She tells him to ask her to stay instead of leaving for the internship. He does, and she agrees. She goes inside and begins to unpack. When her father asks her why, she tells him she has changed her mind about the internship. Her father knows it's because of David. He is furious. The following day, Jade awakes to find her entire family packing. Her father has decided to take everyone to the lake house. Jade is upset and doesn't want to go, but her father doesn't give her a choice. Shortly after they arrive at the lake house, the doorbell rings. It's David. Jade's father is not pleased, but since Keith's girlfriend is there, how can he not let Jade's boyfriend stay too? Later, Jade's father apologizes for being rude and unwelcoming to David. As they are eating breakfast, a female colleague of Hugh's shows up, and seems surprised that Dawn has shown up and excuses herself. That night, Jade, David, Keith, and Keith's girlfriend are outside playing with fireworks. David goes into the garage to get some more. He sees Jade's father in the garage kissing Dawn. He is disturbed and leaves quickly, ensuring Jade doesn't enter the garage. The following day, Jade's father takes David out in a boat. After David confronts him, Hugh denies the indiscretion and threatens David to remain quiet if he knows what's good for him. Anne writes a recommendation letter to a colleague at the University of Georgia for David. She sees something special in him and thinks he will do great things. She is incredibly thankful for the life he has brought back to her daughter. Hugh reads the letter and promises to mail it to her. On the way to a party, Keith confesses to David, Jade, and their girlfriend Sabine how inadequate he's always felt and how he's never been able to please his father. At the party, Jade and David run into Mace, Jenny, and other friends, who convince them to sneak into a local zoo, despite David's hesitation. Charlie, a friend of Mace's, lets them into the zoo, where they have fun playing hide and seek, looking at different animals and riding the carousel. Jenny sees David and Jade kiss and jealously calls the police to report the break-in. The police arrive, and David sends Jade off with his friend, and he draws the police to chase after him instead. David gets caught and taken to jail. The others, including Jade, get away. Jade is distraught and asks her father to bail David out. He shows Jade and the mom a criminal background check he had done on David. It lists an instance of domestic violence that David had with a man his mom was cheating on his dad, for which David went to juvenile hall for. Jade says she doesn't care, and Hugh finally agrees to get David out of jail, if Jade promises to go for the internship. Hugh bails David out of jail but insults him by talking trash about David's family and the domestic violence incident, provoking David to punch him. He goes home to his family and tells them that David is violent, manipulative, and cannot be trusted. Jade goes looking for David and finds him with Jenny in a cafe. Jealous and mistaken, Jade leaves the cafe, and he chases her. They go back and forth, arguing until he walks away. She accuses him of not fighting for their relationship. She gets into her car and begins driving away. David runs after her, but she is slammed into another vehicle. Everyone converges at the hospital. Jade's father takes David's father aside and gives him a restraining order for David to stay 50 feet away from Jade. Harry argues that they're only kids and just had an argument. Still, Hugh refuses to hear him and threatens to sue Harry for everything he has if David goes against the restraining order. When Jade gets out of the hospital, she sees David, but his father refuses to let her see him since it would be illegal and get him into trouble. Jade leaves for Brown while David stays in town. They each try to move on with their lives. Months go by. David runs into Jade's mother in a bookstore and asks for coffee with her. She always admired David and his love for Jade. He asks if Jade is coming home for Christmas and if he can see her. Jade's mother tells him which day she is arriving. David goes to the airport and meets her as she exits the terminal. They kiss and admit they love each other. He tells her he has 2 tickets and will take them anywhere. He asks her if she'll meet and run away with him that night. She looks into his eyes and agrees. Hugh and Anne fight while waiting for Jade at the airport. She confronts him that David never got into UGA and that she knows he never mailed her a recommendation letter. She believes he's ruined David's future and asks Hugh to look at the man he's becoming. That night, Jade's father fights Keith for being in Chris's room and playing his records. Jade's father wants to keep it like a museum. Keith and his girlfriend leave in anger. Jade's mother follows to be with her son. Jade packs her things to leave with David. Unknown to anyone, a candle has fallen over in Chris's room and ignited a massive fire. Just as Jade and David leave, she sees that the house is on fire and screams for her father's safety. He is inside hastily collecting Chris's things, trying to save them. David rushes inside to save Jade's father. He is knocked down and loses consciousness. Jade's father sees him, puts down Chris's belongings, and picks up David. They both make it out of the burning house. The next scene shows Jade and her mother standing at Chris's grave. A few months later, it is revealed that Jade's parents are separated. Her mother encourages her to be close to her father again. Jade lets her father drop her at the airport. David meets her there, and they fly to California, where they witness Keith and his girlfriend Sabine get married. The movie ends with the 4 of them hanging out on the beach. Jade and David lay next to each other as her voiceover explains how a certain kind of love is worth fighting for.